5 things to watch here on KC Sports Network, getting you ready for week 3 of the 2025 preseason, the final dress rehearsal before your Kansas City Chiefs begin their pursuit of yet another AFC title and another Super Bowl. You are going to get a variety of voices here on KC Sports Network on this show as we talk about the important things on this game. It's brought to you by Batchelder Family Farms. You can now order Batchelder's fresh farm-raised products online in just a few clicks. You can also find their Overland Park Farmers Market and the River Market on Saturdays, where they sell their pasture-raised beef and bison, jerky, and eggs. Finally, you can visit their farm store for the freshest cuts and other locally sourced products Wednesday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. at 20810 South Prospect Avenue in Belton, Missouri. I was lucky enough to enjoy a delicious Batchelder burger this week at the KCSN Golf Tournament, which was a lot of fun. Normally, Matty Lane's there. He was not there for the golf tournament, but he is with us today for 5 things. Hello, Matthew.
Hello, Kent. Let's you know what? It's preseason game 3. In the past, that meant the starters are about to play like a quarter and a half. Sounds like our starters might be playing here just a little bit, not a quarter and a half, but according to Andy Reid, it sounds like the starters might give it a little bit of a run. So it's going to be an exciting home preseason game, the first one of the season, the only one of the season.
Normally week 3 is their week off.
I was talking back when it was still 4 games. I meant the old thing. This is when you used to get the start. I actually got to see some starters the past couple seasons. Yes, it's been a day off, but I think the Chiefs might have been trying to save a little bit for the home crowd, and they're going to give them hopefully a little bit of a show.
They just wanted to lay the smackdown on the Chicago Bears and show them who's boss too. We all know what's going on. We can see it clear as day. But yeah, it sounds like we're going to be getting the Chiefs starters in some capacity. Maybe they didn't want that much of a downtime in between games. You know, they wanted a little bit more time, a little bit more buffer there. Not entirely sure the thought process. Like I think we've all speculated for a lot of different reasons, but we are going to see the Chiefs starters at home in Arrowhead, and it is going to be a lot of fun, and I can't wait. And the big prevailing storyline, I think, that continues to exist for this football team is all eyes on the offensive line. The thing that kept this team from achieving their dreams last year and three-peating, falling apart last season, an entirely new left side of the offensive line for the Chiefs. Josh Simmons and Kingsley Suamataia, not both rookies, but 2 players that are playing new positions to them. One of them absolutely is a rookie, but this is a final dress rehearsal, a final opportunity for them to shine, to show themselves. And I think there's also some questions on the right side of the offensive line too.
Yeah, I mean, like, listen, we don't gotta bury the lead here. We're gonna start with Josh Simmons. We want to see how he's doing, right? Like every week so far, we've gotten like a series and a half, I guess, in that first preseason game, and I think things have gone well. Things have looked pretty good, really good. And pass protection, you can very clearly see why everybody has been excited about him. But I do think this last week against the Seahawks, we saw, some issues in the run game. Like the run blocking was not particularly good. And so you would like to see an improvement on the run blocking from him. And you would continue to like to see him develop and use his hands a little bit more. He's never going to be like an overly reliant on his striking. He's definitely much more, especially right now as a rookie, going to utilize his athleticism, his strength, his balance, which is all fine. Like I have no qualms with that, but you would like to continue to see him not, like showing some hand stuff, getting his hands placed in their proper spot, using both, inside arm, outside arm, different stuff, right? So we're just going to keep an eye on Josh Simmons and continue to show some development. Next in Kingsley, I mean, that's the one that I don't know what we do with yet. I understand it's only a couple series so far in the preseason, but if he comes out of this game looking the same as he has so far, especially in pass protection, I don't know how you're not worried. I don't know how, if you're the Chiefs, you're not trying to already start to work on plan B, because some of the stuff in pass protection has been pretty tough.
No, absolutely has. It's been very up and down in the past game. Actually, no, it's been bad. It's been bad in the past pass protection to this point. I did walk away rewatching that game against the Seahawks, unfortunately, because man, that game was brutal to watch. But watching him in the run game was a lot of fun. He was quite enjoyable watching him, and where it was less enjoyable watching Josh Simmons over there in the run game, because he was allowing defensive ends to get off blocks quite easily. You'd like to see a little bit more resistance there at the point of attack. You talk about, hand tech, but just, hand strength too, like strength there. What some question marks there, but
hand stuff.
With Kingsley, in pass pro, he's still such a work in progress, and it's been a limited amount of time. And, like the Chiefs do enough things where, like maybe they can reduce some of the true drop back opportunities for him at times. But I think when they want to get 5 out, and they're going to have some issues there. And I think teams will absolutely target Kingsley Suamataia early on. He's going to have to be up for the challenge, whether or not this performance against the Bears goes well or not. But I think you would like to see this team give a little bit more confidence and get a little bit more confidence into Kingsley. And you'd like to see Kingsley walking out of there feeling good about where he's at for his first full season as a left guard. Like they threw him to the Wolves last year and it didn't go well. Hopefully this turnaround this year, it's a lot better. We talk about those two over on the right side. There's still some questions there, I think, as well, a little bit, right? Because I'm curious to see if Jawaan Taylor plays on grass turf in the preseason at all, or if they're just going to kind of give him the red shirt, maybe speaking to the severity of his issues over with injury. Like I'm not sure that it's gonna pique my interest if we don't see Jawaan Taylor at all in this preseason Week 3 game.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you brought up the right side, because you're talking about Jawaan Taylor. I'm interested in Jalen Moore. Watching him back, so far in the preseason, he's looked all right. He's looked good. He's performed well. He hasn't had bad snaps whatsoever, but it does seem like he's not protected, but just he hasn't gone up against some significantly difficult assignments. He got a lot of the I'm uncovered here on this pass rush. Let me go help my guard next to me, right? Let me get this one-on-one rep, or not really a one-on-one rep, but more of a 2-on-1. So if Jawaan Taylor can't play and we don't see him at all this preseason, what does Jalen Moore look like, right? Is he going to get pressed a little bit more? It felt like the Seahawks were really trying to work the other side of the offensive line. They were trying to test Simmons, trying to test Kingsley a little bit, and Jalen Moore was just kind of hanging out, doing his thing well. But what does it look like if he does see a little bit more of a direct pass rush? If he is challenged one-on-one a little bit more, and in the run game, can he continue to operate well? Or is Jawaan Taylor back and everything looking well? Is Jalen Moore just playing right tackle? Or is he maybe working in with guard? Maybe we're having the same talk that we just had. Kingsley's maybe not excelling in pass protection or, in a complete game. Is Jalen Moore getting more reps at guard this upcoming week? So I'm intrigued to see what happens with both Jalen Moore and Jawaan Taylor. The Chiefs are going to put out, I think, their best 5, and I feel like we're pretty certain as of right now who that best 5 is going to be, but I do think Jalen Moore can make a push for, I don't know about right tackle, but if depending on how left guard goes, that still might be a little bit more open than I think we want to believe because of some of the struggles we've seen, and I think he has been pretty solid when we have seen him so far early in this year.
Will you go as far to say that Jalen Moore would start at left guard if Jawan's good to go? Because you said,
no, I need to see it.
We know the best 5. I think Jalen Moore, just what we've seen, has been better on than in different positions, but he's been better.
It's just that I think I got to see it. And so if we come in this game and Jalen Moore, whether he takes first team reps at right tackle or whatever it may be, if he plays left guard at all, the antennas are going to be way up, right? Even if it's second team, first team, whatever it may be, if Jalen Moore takes any live reps in this preseason game after not last week at left guard or any guard spot, the antennas are going to go up and be like, okay, there might be something cooking here. And then the pressure might be on Kingsley to perform really well. And I'm not saying for certain this is the case, but I do wonder if they haven't been giving Jalen Moore as many live reps or making Kingsley split reps with Jalen Moore as often to maybe not only train Jalen Moore to be a right tackle in case Jawaan Taylor's hurt, but also because you don't want to make the young player who's trying to learn a new position feel pressure. You don't want to make him constantly looking over his shoulder, but season starts after this game. This is your last dry run. After this, you got to be ready to go. And so if Kingsley's not ready to be that guy, they better have Jalen Moore ready. So yeah, if he plays any guard, antennas fully up.
Felix Anudike Uzama, his season is over with a hamstring injury, and Omar Norman Lott will not be playing for the Chiefs in this Week 3 preseason game. Couple players that were expected to contribute to the defensive line for this preseason game as they're trying to get that final dress rehearsal. It looks like the defensive line for this game will be a little bit shortened up. And it's not something you want to see, especially considering all the questions that you might have around the complementary pass rushers around All-Pro Chris Jones. I think there's reason to be a little bit concerned about what we've seen from the pass rush and seeing some of that depth get tested already, both inside and outside. Not great, Maddie.
No, the pass rush has not been a highlight of the Chiefs preseason so far. I mean, even the defensive line play in general, not even just the pass rush, but like the pass rush has been very much lacking. Now, we haven't seen Chris Jones at all. And this Chiefs pass rush, we do know, is kind of built around, hey, there's Chris Jones. The offense has to entirely account for him, potentially change what their protection calls might be or where they're emphasizing their eyes at the beginning of the snap towards Chris Jones, which opens things up for everybody else. So there is that big looming thing that we haven't really got to see a ton yet. However, you would like to see George Karlaftis maybe flash a little. You would like to see Charles Omenihu, who's playing deeper into games, like deep into the first half, a little bit of third quarter action, start to show up a little bit better against backups. Mike Dana, I don't think, has had a very strong preseason. Ashton Gelati has looked about the same. He's been steady. It's a lot of energy. It's a lot of effort. It's a lot of chaos, both good and bad, right? So like Omar Norman Lott on the interior, same thing. It's a lot of chaos, some good, some bad. It's up and down. Like who is going to step up? Who on this defensive line can make plays on their own and isn't going to be entirely reliant on Chris Jones to set them up just by his presence or his play? And that's right now, I don't think we have a good answer for that. And that's kind of been the case for the Chiefs the last few years. But I think we also got to look back. Like they keep going to the Super Bowl. They've won plenty of Super Bowls with this exact same formula, but it's all predicated on the fact that Steve Spagnuolo pulls all the right levers at the right time, or Chris Jones is still that peak best he's ever been player. If he takes even a half step back, if Steve Spagnuolo even pulls the wrong lever once or twice, who's going to help make up for it? And I don't know who that's going to be. We haven't really seen any of those flashes yet.
The absence of Tershawn Wharton might be felt. And like, I think that's the big thing is like, they not only have to replace last year's performance, they have to have someone that they could have at least a couple of people that can help replace what they got out of Tershawn Wharton in the aggregate as well, right? And I don't know if that they have answered that question for me quite yet. And right, like it's predicated on Chris Jones continuing to be everything that he has been, right? And like, not to say like it's going to be some stark drop off, but it's just even any drop off, even any snap count changes that might have to happen for him as he starts to age on the wrong side of 30. Like all those little things, just small little things like that could play a factor in the success of a defensive line that was already having some struggles and showed some struggles last season. So it's a big opportunity for a guy like Ashton Gelati in this game, right? Like just continue to get opportunity to get reps as a rookie. See if you can build off of the last couple of weeks. And we're not going to see Omar Norman Lott until Brazil. So I'm paying attention to the likes of a Jerry Tillery, a Gelati. See if they can help generate some pass rush for this football team because there's plenty of questions up front there. And I mean, especially with Felix Anudike Uzama going on to the IR. I mean, you might be looking outside a little bit, trying to find somebody that can kind of help support your pass rush, someone else that can kind of come in and contribute a little bit. Free agency trade. Wouldn't be stunned to see the Chiefs working the phones a little bit if they feel like they can't find anybody here to be consistent on the defensive line. And look, it's a preseason game. It's not a death knell by any stretch of the word, but you just want to see something. You want to see growth. You want to see development. You want to see some promise.
You're building. I mean, like you're building kind of a resume for the season during the preseason, right? And like, if I were to sit here and tell you right now, like, okay, obviously Chris Jones is Chris Jones, and we'll even say George Karlaftis is going to be the same that he's always been. Who else are you expecting plus play from on passing downs? And like, I get the appeal to say Charles Omenihu. I'd be the first to jump out and say him, but I've seen him play against backups and third string offensive linemen and look okay. I think he's had good reps, but he hasn't dominated. And you would expect a guy of his caliber to dominate those reps if he was 110% back from his knee injury a few years back, right? So who else is that guy that's going to be a plus player on these passing downs? We haven't seen enough from Omar Norman Lott through 2 games to say it's him. I know we won't see him, but we haven't seen enough from Tillery to say it's going to be like, I don't know. It doesn't mean it can't happen because it's preseason, but like this is where you start to get just a little bit of flashes, and it feels like the Chiefs defensive line and the pass rusher in particular has fallen a little flat. And then like, I know we're focusing on that, but it's not like the coverage unit behind them is so good that it's going to allow them 3-4 seconds to get home every play, right? Like these two units are going to have to work in tandem. So the pass rush is going to have to win quickly from time to time. And it almost looks like they're gearing back towards Chris Jones wins, George Karlaftis maybe gets a really good matchup that he wins, or Spags has to dial it up for them to win. And there's not a lot of anything else besides those first 3 pitches, which that's difficult when your coverage unit might not be A+ anymore.
Yeah, this is the last chance for us to walk away feeling good. And hopefully we feel a little bit better than we did when this team came out.
We won't be as tired.
Well, I won't. I don't know about you. You seemed pretty well rested missing out on that post-game show. We're going to take a break and we'll be back right after this.
Looking for tickets for your next event? Tickets for Less is your #1 source. Save big on every purchase when you use promo code KCSN at ticketsforless.com.
I'm Brett Goodwin, one of the owners of The Learning Tree. The Learning Tree is a neighborhood toy store in Prairie Village, Kansas. This has been here in this location since 2000s, and my husband Alan and I purchased the store in 2023. Alan and I grew up in families where we've always wanted to have a business together. Alan grew up, for instance, his parents had a jewelry store. I worked in a local toy store here in Prairie Village when I was growing up. When this opportunity happened in 2023, we knew right away we wanted to contact them and pursue the store. We wouldn't have been able to get the store without the team at Emprise Bank. From the day we contacted them, they knew what we needed to do, which was very helpful. I would absolutely recommend the team at Emprise Bank to anyone looking to secure a business. We worked with Emprise from day one. They were extremely helpful. They were always great resources. We talk to them frequently. They know the area. They're very friendly. We know who we're going to talk with, and they know what we need to do. We hope we'll see you at the Learning Tree.
Folks, nothing beats hanging out with the boys on a hot summer day and watching some baseball. And the simplest way that you all can get in on the action is to download the Pick 6 app from DraftKings. It is crazy simple. Just pick more or less on the stats for 2 or more of your favorite players, and boom, you're in the mix for big cash prizes. And the best part is, Pick 6 is available right here in Missouri. Don't miss out on the fun. Don't settle for a smaller payout. Switch to Pick 6, and right now, new customers can get $25 in bonus picks with their first deposit of $5. Here's what you got to do. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now and then use code KCSN. That's code KCSN for new customers to get $25 in bonus picks with their first deposit of $5. Better payouts, bigger wins, only with Pick 6 from DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Void where prohibited. New customers only. Minimum $5 deposit. Bonus picks expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see pick6.draftkings.com/promos. That football show here giving you one thing to watch on 5 things. Matt Verderam, Tucker Franklin breaking it all down for you. And it's kind of like a mix of several different things, but it really is one thing when you kind of break it all down. It's the injuries. It's the guys who are playing, the guys who aren't playing. Look, man, last time out there, the Kansas City Chiefs took on a ton of injuries in their second preseason game. Obviously, we're going to toast to good health at the end of this thing, and we want to see them out of it fairly clean. But let's talk about some of those injuries. You're not going to see Jake Brenningstool. You haven't seen Jake Brenningstool all preseason. Yeah. You're not going to see Jack Cochran, Ethan Driscoll, Mike Edwards, Nazeeh Johnson, Omar Norman-Lott, and Jalen Royals on Friday, per Coach Reed. So those guys you won't be seeing, but you will be seeing Christian Fulton for the first time, as a reportedly he is not going to be out for this game. So we presumably will be seeing Christian Fulton. What are you looking for from him?
I was looking forward to seeing how they work as a trio, because we haven't seen him really all summer. He's been practicing, now for the last week and a half, but that was really once they kind of got out of St. Joe. So he's barely been visible. It'll be good to see him, and just how they use McDuffie now. Like with Fulton out there and Watson out there, McDuffie's going to be inside. So when they go to the nickel, so does that change anything with Chamari Connor? Like now, does Chamari Connor's role lessen, or do they just say, okay, now that McDuffie's in the slot, now like Connor and Cook are just the safeties and that's it? Or do we see more of Hicks? Like how do they mix it up? I'm curious to see how the secondary looks, especially now like Najee Johnson's not going to play. So, he's not out there. Noel Williams, I was happy to see he's not on that list. So he apparently could play, which you would think is just terrific news based on the fact there's a concussion protocol. But I'll be curious. I'll be curious to see how they use that. And then on the other side of the ball, you got Hollywood Brown, who's not on the injury list.
Yeah.
So I would imagine you're going to be seeing him, especially with Royals down, which seems more precautionary than anything. But like, you should get a pretty good look at the Chiefs' first teams in this game. Like Seattle, we didn't see. I mean, Tucker and I were basically playing in that game.
Right.
Like you're going to actually see some real starters in this thing, with for however long they play, a couple series. But it'll be nice to actually kind of get a real idea of their rotations.
Hopefully we can feel something from this game, Matt, because the first 2 preseason games have been just big, huge duds. Like you got to see Patrick Mahomes throw the ball one time actually, and twice, but once actually counted, and it was for a touchdown. So his efficiency is insane right now. If Patrick Mahomes could keep up this pace, that'd be awesome.
Well, that's good news, because apparently the Bo Nix in Denver are going to win 15 games. If you don't believe me, turn on any network that has turned the 9-7 football team into a 15-win juggernaut. But yeah, look, I'll be curious how long they play. Like I know Andy will sit there and say, "Oh, they're going to play this amount," but like they never play the actual amount he says.
100%.
And you wonder if the offense goes out in the first drive, just absolutely log rolls the Bears, and they go in the end zone. Is that enough? Does Andy want to give him a couple drives? I would think you're at least getting 2 drives each side. I would think.
Yeah.
And but with the injuries that you mentioned, listen, some of these guys are going to have to play more. Like Norman Lott not being in there. Okay, well, Pennell's going to play and Jones is going to play, but who else is going to play inside? There's going to be a lot of Jerry Tillery in this game. There's going to be somebody else, some combination like Dan and Menahu reducing down inside. Like that is where I do think there is some intrigue. Because Norman Lott's probably the only guy who's not going to play in this game who's like a guy you could see playing like a big role early.
Yeah.
Potentially, not even if he's going to, but like the rest of the guys who are hurt, they're not going to, like Ethan Driscoll's not going to be out there playing a ton of snaps.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, that doesn't really change everything. But with Norman Lott being out, I'm curious to see who eats those snaps.
It's curious, too, because this is the time in the NFL, Matt, has been pretty busy. It seems like with these bottom of the roster trades, a lot busier than normal with bottom of the roster trades. Curious to see what some of these guys can go out there and showcase. If Andy Reid and Brett Veach want to throw some guys out there to get something on tape to show other teams to see if they can get anything for these guys like they did for Sky Moore, who they knew that they were going to cut. So this could be a showcase game for a lot of those guys, as well as roster cutdown day just around the corner.
I'll tell you what, if it's that, and I agree with you, it might be, Joshua Williams is going to get an obscene amount of snaps in this game. Okay.
Right.
Because they could trade him and save over $3 million, I believe. And I would be shocked if he makes the thing.
Yeah.
I just don't. I mean, he's like on the depth chart. My God, he's basically like with the kickers. So I've got to imagine that if they're trying to showcase somebody in this game, it's going to be him. It's going to be a whole lot of him. Like, I don't even know who else it would be. Like, maybe like Elijah Mitchell, maybe.
Yeah, I'll let either Elijah Mitchell or Carson Steele, maybe. But they're still putting him at fullback.
Right.
Whatever. But yeah, I think that's probably your only options. But like, here's the other problem with like trying to trade Joshua Williams is that like, that's not like the thickest room that they have. The defensive secondary is not like super full. And like, that's the thing with like the Sky Moore trade that made a little bit of sense is like the wide receiver room, the math behind that made sense. Like Sky Moore was not going to make the roster. So like that made sense. I'll be curious to see what they do.
I'm also going to be very curious to see if the Chiefs are watching the Bears left guard in this game and thinking, "Oh my God, like, it'd be great if he was still in red." I wonder if that's a thought that crosses somebody's mind in the middle of the first quarter. That's something to watch.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. I appreciate you bringing that up at the very end of our 5 things segment. We could have done a whole segment probably on that, which
An whole show on that after watching the first 2 preseason games, the Chiefs left guard situation.
Did you see the clip from Ed Oliver saying that Joe Tooney's like one of the best guys he ever goes against?
Joe Tooney's going to be in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Like, I'm not knocking. Like, I understand why the Chiefs did what they did. Like, he's an older player. I get it. The Patriot Smith, fine. But like, I'm going to tell you, if this thing doesn't go well left guard this year, and Joe Tooney's over there being an All-Pro in Chicago, there's going to be a lot of people making a bunch of noise about that, right or wrong. Like, it's going to happen. It's just the way of the world.
Well, that's our 47th thing on 5 things from Effort Rainbow Tucker Frank. Let's go ahead and send it back for the Only Weird Games guys and more 5 things.
Time for 2 things from 2 of us from Only Weird Games. Joshua Briscoe and Nate Taylor with you. We're going backs and backers today, Nate. I'll let you pick which side of the ball we start on. Is there something from the running back room or the linebacker room that's more interesting to you today?
Let's start with the linebackers because, kids, I have to remind you, the linebackers were so bad in Seattle that it can only get better from here. Obviously there's still an excitement with Jeffrey Bassa. He's probably been the one guy you would absolve of all of this for the most part, but Jack Cochran and Colt Christensen and whoever else is back there, buddy. So hey, it sounds like this week, Josh, as much as you I guess can for the preseason finale, that Steve Spagnuolo got in those boys' rear ends. So interested to see that. And then obviously someone we haven't seen this season in a game, and that's Drew Tranquill.
Yeah, really interesting to see how much Drew Tranquill plays, what he does if he's out there. Because as you mentioned, he's been dealing with this back injury that hampered him throughout training camp and hasn't seen the field in either of those West Coast games through these the first 2 acts. So with the starters playing more, you like to see him out there, just pass some things along with Nick Bolton. We've seen Leo Chanel out there. I don't know that we're going to see anything from him or Bolton, frankly, in the preseason that's going to do anything to change expectations or hopes or anything for either of them. But it will be interesting to see if Tranquill looks like, or really, I guess I should say, which version of Tranquill we see out there. Because the times when he has had that extra half step, where his athleticism has seemed to be available to him, he's great. He's the linebacker you want in coverage. He's a guy that you can have calling the defense. He did a great job of that back when Nick Bolton was out. And again, you give him the green dot and ask him to do a lot of things. He's had some pretty high highs in this defense. You've also had a couple of those times when you look around and you go, okay, well, maybe the age is catching up a little bit. And you mentioned Jeffrey Bassa, and obviously I think he is a few moons removed from getting Steve Spagnuolo's trust in the way that Bolton and Tranquill both seem to have it. And I don't think Leo Chanel's wearing the green dot out there anytime soon. But I do wonder, both kind of short term and long term, what we're going to see there. And it would go a long way for me to see Tranquill just go out there and fly around for a handful of snaps. If we see that, I'm going to feel pretty significantly better, even though I think Drew Tranquill is probably pretty far down the list of a lot of people. If you're a rank the most important Chiefs in 2025, I actually think I would have Drew Tranquill a lot higher on my list than most probably would.
Yeah, and I think Seth would agree too, just based on some of the up and down play he had last year. I would also say too that this game is pretty important for Cam Jones. Like, is he going to make the roster? When I was doing my roster projections for ESPN, it was really a decision of okay, do you take maybe the youth and still the potential to reach his full potential in Cam Jones, or do you take the reliable, older, savvy veteran in Mike Edwards? That may be a question that the Chiefs have to ask themselves based on the numbers game that you have to deal with after, Friday's preseason finale. So I think Boss is important. Cam Jones is important. How do those guys look on special teams, obviously? And then, it would be really nice to see, I don't know, Drew Tranquill get one good tackle in the open field. That way you've checked that off before you go to Brazil. I know we talked to Leo Chanel earlier this week, and he sort of intimated that, I don't know, maybe I'll just be in the A gaps for the foreseeable future. So if the Chiefs want to tinker around, I guess do it against the Bears backups. I don't know. But more interesting and hopefully better play than what we saw last Friday in Seattle.
This is not a joke in any way. We're not talking about the D-line, but not a lot of guys on that depth chart who you'd be more excited to have in the A-gap than Leo Chanel. Honestly, like, especially with him not being hurt, nursing the ankle, and him like bulking up, not really being the one tech type of guy to this point in his career anyway. We're not going to rehash the D-line, but we may, as Tuesday in the regular season, ultimately end up coming around. On the other side of the ball, let's talk about the running backs a little bit. We talked about it at the end of Only Weird Games on Thursday. There's been a little bit of a rumor and a murmur here and there that the Chiefs are poking around the running back market. You kind of gave a clue of what the high end of that may be. Maybe you wait for roster cut downs to come around and see if you can find anything there. I said this on Weird Games. I don't think this is really reflective of where Brashard Smith is at. I think they expected him to be a bit of a project. He's played running back for 1 year, and they picked him up in the 7th round. Like, I don't know what a lot of people were expecting to see from him right out of the gate. But with Isaiah Pacheco and Kareem Hunt's roles seeming really, really safe, Elijah Mitchell, to me, kind of seems like the guy that might have kicked off this round of reevaluating the running back room. We've seen a lot of Carson Steele out there. I just think we've got a pretty good idea of what he's going to be, and you'd love to have him on your practice squad if you need to call somebody up for a game day pinch. But I can't tell you a lot that I've seen from Elijah Mitchell. Obviously he's coming off of some pretty serious injuries, and you want to see what he could look like in training camp in the preseason. Maybe he has a chance tonight to step up and end up convincing the Chiefs that they do not need to add a running back. But it would be nice to see some speed, some breakaway burst from Mitchell if that's going to be on the table.
Yeah, he needs to have, honestly, a spectacular showing based on, obviously limited snaps in the first 2 preseason games. But again, no highlights, no real feel for like how he fits this roster in terms of right now before cut down day. And the other thing too, Josh, is, Dave Toe still has a lot to say when he gets to the back end of the roster. And so you're still going to take Carson Steele, who has more upside on special teams right now than Elijah Mitchell. So I always felt like Elijah Mitchell was supposed to be the next somewhat version of Jarrett McKinnon, right? I mean, last year, I know we mentioned this on Only Weird Games. Hey, you had Samaje Perine. He kind of fell into your lap and then fell into that role and did pretty well. But it's like, I guess Kareem Hunt's your best pass blocker for Patrick Mahomes. It's definitely not Brashard Smith at this point. He's still got to learn and a ways to go, but he has plenty of speed that you do want to use him at some point in the offense as an additional pass catcher. Isaiah Pacheco, I think I honestly wouldn't even play him on I wouldn't play him against the Bears. I don't really see the need for it. He looked really good against the Seahawks on that one play out in the edge and the perimeter. So yeah, this is a game where you feature, hey, Elijah, like, we signed you to a contract that was $1 million. Like, we could get out of it. There's no guarantee on the roster, but hey, here's 25, here's 30 snaps, and let's see you in the full role of the offense. And hopefully, if you have a little bit more playing time, you get into a better groove, and who knows, maybe those legs start firing off the way they did, a couple years ago when he was still a very shifty, explosive back in that Kyle Shanahan system. So it's unfortunate that it hasn't worked out this far, but this is his last chance to at least make a legitimate case as to, hey, I can be someone that you can rely on at some point down the season, because if it doesn't happen Friday, I think the Chiefs will spend much of Friday night and Saturday morning ahead of next Tuesday's cutdown date trying to find if there's a way to add someone for an additional pick, an additional, player-to-player swap. But it's not a secret anymore that they want one more running back that's not Carson Steele, and that they might have to be lumped into Carson Steele again if it doesn't work out with Elijah Mitchell.
There you go. Backs and backers to keep an eye on for the preseason finale that should include some starters for a longer look than we've seen so far. Nate Taylor, Joshua Briscoe, 2/3 of Only Weird Games, here with 2 of the 5 things.
All right, that's going to do it for us here at 5 Things on KC Sports Network. For Kent Swanson and Matt Lane, the guys at KC Laboratory, myself, Tucker Franklin, and Matt Verderam on That Football Show, and Nate and Josh over there at Only We're Games. Thank you guys for tuning in to this edition of the final preseason edition of 5 Things here on KC Sports Network. Can't thank you guys enough. And hey, if you're still sticking with us here, you probably want to stick around with us for after the game. We'll have highlights, we'll have analysis, we'll have maybe even a little bit of locker room sound as well. So make sure to check us out there at the KCSN post-game show. Herbert Teope will be on the ground there at Arrowhead Stadium. So we might have some stuff from him as well. So stay locked in here. Hit that like, hit that subscribe button. Really do appreciate you. We'll talk to you later.